So astrology can keep expanding out at these different areas, but this objective, subjective or objective, the rising, projecting things out and reacting, taking things in, these are basic karmic things we do every minute, we do every day, and we get the results of that. And as we do it positively, we get more positive results. As we do it negatively, get more doubting or negative results. As we project out fears or worries, who are we going to attract? We're going to attract people that are worrying. And we're going to pull that in. So like, it becomes really important to either be neutral, or to be able to be positive or be affirmative. What you project out will, even the thoughts you have will affect the people you meet. So if you're thinking good of someone, boy, it's easy for them to be friends with you and to accomplish something together. But if you're not thinking good of someone, how on earth are you ever going to accomplish anything? And why would anybody bother except to stay away from you? So we get caught in patterns of behavior, habits of behavior. We start with a certain priority. We're caught in our lifetime. We came in, we took our soul, came in, boom, we're crystallized into this lifetime. The lifetime is the ego, the separative sense of soul, the ego into life, the attachments, the sensations, the thoughts, the feelings, the accumulations, the accumulated experiences, sequence of things, the stories. These are all our natural life. But our spirit is something greater than that. That isn't necessarily attached to those things. It accumulates those things every day, whether we get good or bad experience. The soul still gains the experience. It's not a loss. But it's very difficult to know if someone's moving out more into life or has done that and is trying to move back into their inner center and being. And we just are where we are. And as we begin to study it, some of these things become more apparent. As they become more apparent, it begins to explain some of the events and things that have happened in our life. Then are we ready to change it or not? This lifetime or the next or whenever? So they say there's not much choice. Astrology, you could argue it's all fated. You're born at a certain time, but what you do with it is certainly not fated. You can evolve it. You can improve it. You can make things better rather than worse. You can see a weak spot and fix it, or run away from it and hide from it. Like, there's a certain choice in how you deal with all this information and this energy. How you deal with life. You can make life a healing, positive experience, or you can make it a negative, dark sickness. So we make so many judgments. We come in because we're hurt or this, and then we start discovering, wow, I could live differently. But people run across, I mean, how do you find a good doctor or a good lawyer? You run into some piece of information, oh, the chart said this, or someone says you get a piece of information, sometimes it helps. Even if it's not from a professional soldier, just reading a book or something, but then you get pulled in, you want to know more about it. And you wouldn't have got through the last class to get to this class if you haven't already been pulled in deeper. I mean, there's faster ways to learn astrology. I'm taking 5 sessions to get to understanding natal development and natal understanding. That's like a year and a half. But I mean, there's places that will teach you how to calculate, how to get the chart run off, the signs, the planets, the houses. They'll teach you the transits and the progressions, all in one 12-week class, and you'll be able to be the professional astrologer with that 12 weeks of knowledge. Yeah, and a lot of people are out there doing that. But that doesn't mean they necessarily know how, doesn't mean they have depth of quality, or they can be useful up to a point. So, trouble is, we learn things and we think we know, oh, wow, we're using this and there's so much more to learn. It's always easy to be humbled. We always learn more about the person's chart we're doing than they're going to ever learn from us. Yet information gets passed along and it's very useful. I mean, if you have a kid, how could you not know yourself and look at this to see how to work with it? We could just wing it, I guess. You can do it for different reasons, but it becomes incredibly useful. You say you get a kid with special problem, the statistic, and you're trying to reach them. And the kid has everything projective. They're really projective, instigative. They do things, but they have no boundaries. They don't know where someone else is in there. So when they start interacting with people, they start hurting kids or hitting kids or saying things that don't have the sensitivity to respond. So once you see the problem, you know what you have to fix. But sometimes by going into chart, you can see at what level this is coming, whether it's mental, emotional, basic needs, whether it's around once before, you can see the level that's the nerve that's really being affected by this, and you can really reach a person. You know, suppose you have a nephew who's got cerebral palsy, smart kid, never been able to move his body. He's in his 20s now, but he can't work for someone. He needs constant care. He has to be moved around. He has to be fed. He can't do anything. But it's not like his mind is not alert. So he still needs to be exposed to books, ideas, movies, things, thinking, even though you're not seeing any effect of it, it's still an effect going in. So when you're trying to get an approach to a healing, approach to a problem, approach to getting an athlete to their peak potential, an approach to doing something like this, wow, astrology is so incredibly useful. I had someone come to me once. He tried to swim the English Channel 3 times, and 3 times he failed. And he was getting into his 30s, and he's thinking, I should quit. Maybe I'm getting too old. Should I try one more time or not? He came to say, we had a couple of sessions talking about him, talking about his potentials, talking about it, and then working on times. And we eventually said, well, here's another time. You could try it one more time. And we set up the one time. We got a good time, aligned it, and he worked on other things. And he got it, and he managed to get across it on his 4th time. But he might have done that without knowing astrology. It happened through astrology that, no, it was important for him to complete that, not to have that as a failure all his life. So people come for anytime they want to accomplish something big or something unique or even start a relationship. Is it really true? Astrology, it can only be an affirmation. It can be an affirmation or it can give you some feedback. Really, you have the direct experience. You're being your chart. Anything I say is not going to define your chart. You're just being it. So this right now, our work is really to, like, if you guys are learning all these categories and going through these steps, when you develop a really poetic sense of astrology and using it, 2, it opens up doors where we can talk with each other about other things and more vaster things, and we can take this into much deeper understanding. So we're using words, but words are the lowest form of astrology. It's energy, it's colors, it's light, it's sound. There's so many ways you can use these pieces of information, these scales. But we're using through English, through words, and making the associations, and then getting the insights. And once we get, so what would be the expression? Words are the trails to images. We follow the words and we get the images. Once we got the images, what do we need words for? We got the image, we got the picture. So we gather the images, we gather the pictures. And once we gather enough pictures, we encompass the meaning. So once we've encompassed the meaning, what need do we have of pictures? We've got to the meaning. So words are the trails to images. Images are the traps of meaning. Follow the words to gather the images. Collect the images till you get the meaning. And once you got the meaning, let it go. So there's processes of coming into this, of coming to understand and coming to use these things. We're going to be focusing on it specifically on each planet and how each planet expresses itself in each of these categories, and how it is different when you're looking with the planet and how it's affecting the houses to planets and signs. And it's just stretching your ability to think this way, to work through it. And you won't lose for doing this. You know, you'll see the wholesomeness of it. And then when you see other astrologers, other people, they don't know all of these things, so they know pieces of it. There's something to learn from everybody. But most astrology has been linked to mathematical, the 12 houses, 12 numbers, 12 signs, and the mathematical associations. It's really moved a little bit away from relationship to day and night, to light and darkness, to seasons, to rising and setting. The actual living dynamic is less, people living in cities are less aware of it. So it's kind of fade away. So I'm working to make sure to restore this natural thinking, this natural way of looking and using astrology. Okay. I think I'm about finished. What time are we at? Okay, we're close. Next week we start with the moon. So if you can, I sent you the worksheets as a big Word file using the Hightail, where it's a download link where you can download it. If you didn't get it, check your junk mail. It may have bumped it into the junk mail instead of taking, but it'd either be from Hightail with a thing saying RASA, planets and houses. Yeah, so we're going to start with the moon next week, and we'll do each planet, and we'll get through the winter. Okay, thank you. Happy New Year. I'll talk to you next week. Okay.